Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone who's managed to join us right now. I think we are at about 12 people so far. We hope others will join us as we continue. So a quick introduction. Welcome to GoodWe GT series introduction. My name is Coach Alvis, and I'll be supported by my colleague, our pre-sales engineer, Patrick Osiemo, later in the webinar. For myself, I am Oluwach Alvis, technical service engineer for East Africa. We are very excited to introduce our newest inverter, the GT series. It's an on-grid inverter, and we believe it will serve the market well as we continue as GoodWe to be the best, and also in our vision to be the best in terms of the renewable energy sector. Quickly going through what our presentation will entail the following. I will do a product introduction, then take you through the product features, some of the things to consider during installation. Then Patrick will take you through the solution and also how you can be able to implement the solution and also some of the case references. Quickly going through the GT series. As I mentioned, it's our newest on-grid inverter, as you can see the photo over there. Which will be implemented in the C&I space. It comes in the sizes of 100, 110, and 125 kilowatts. Some of the brief features that we will be going through is that it has, I see somebody has raised their hand. Yes, Gibson. Okay, I think let's continue then. We will have a Q&A session at the end. And then if I think the question that people normally ask, mostly it's if we will share the slides here, we will share the slides at the end of presentation. So I will continue. As I was mentioning, this is the GT series implemented in our C&I space in the size of 100, 110, and 125 kilowatts. Some of the features that we will be going through will be that it has between 8 and 10 MPPTs with 2 strings per MPPT. Each MPPT can handle a current of 42 amps. Then there is a very high efficiency and quality compared to our older product, which is the HT. We'll also be comparing it, the new inverter, the GT versus the HT. We also have integrated SPDs, both on the DC and AC side. As you can see, that's how the GT inverter looks like. Going forward, the GT is in the series, as you just mentioned, is between 100, 120, 110, and 125 kilowatts. Looking at a typical C&I scenario, as you can see here, we have solar panels on the DC side, then goes through the inverter. Our inverter, the GT, as I mentioned, is 100, 110, and 125 kilowatt. The inverter converts the DC to AC, then goes to your AC distribution board, and then it also combines with the grid in order to supply your loads. That is on the power side. On the communication side, we have our controller, either the SEC 1000 or the EZ Logger 3000C. Using the SEC 1000 or the EZ Logger 3000C, you are able to scale up the system to up to 60 inverters, 60 inverters. Then from the controller, you're able to transmit data to our GoodWe cloud, and then you're able to do your remote monitoring on our SEMS portal or SEMS app. Therefore, you can be able to do remote monitoring on your phone, either Android or iOS, and also on your laptop. Comparing our HT with our new GT, you can see that the GT is silver gray compared to what the HT was, the red color. On the power ranges, we still have the 100 and 110 kilowatt ranges. But instead of the 120, we have the 125 kilowatt. Also, an improvement on the GT is that it is 10% less heavier. So as you can see, the weight is on the HT was 98.5 kilograms, and right now we are at 88.5 kilograms. Then also on the dimensions, since we've also improved on our MPPT technology, you can see that we have reduced to 930 by 650 by 300 millimeters. Also looking at the noise that especially from the fans, we have reduced from 72 decibels to 65 decibels. Therefore, in each category, you can see that there is a significant improvement. Looking at the MPPT trackers, on the GT, the 100 had 8 MPPT trackers, yet the HT on the 100 had 10. On the 110 and 125, we have 10 MPPT trackers, and on the 110 and 120 is 12 MPPT trackers. The reduction is mostly because we have increased the current. As you can see, the max input current for MPPT is 42 amperes compared to what the HT offered as 30 amperes. Meaning on the GT, we can support the 182 and 210 full series of PV modules. For the HT, could support the 210 PV modules. A quick run through on the datasheet for the GT. You can see that the maximum input voltage is at 1,100 volts with MPPT nominal power between 500 and 850 volts. And with as little as 200 volts, you are able to start up. As we've mentioned before, the maximum input current for MPPT is 42 amperes with a max short circuit current for MPPT of 52.5 amperes. Then for the 100, you have 8 MPPTs, 110 and 125, you have 10 MPPTs, and across all of them, you have 2 strings per MPPT. Also looking at the AC output side, you can see that the nominal power is the power rating of the inverter, but you can get 10% more on the maximum AC apparent power. This is in case you have oversized your on the DC side, which is normally 50%. Therefore, for the 100, you will be able to get 110. For the 110, you will get 121. For the 125 kilowatt, you get 137 kilowatts. Therefore, you are able to get more in case you oversize and the weather conditions are optimal. Looking at the product features, as we mentioned, we have for MPPT, it's 42 amperes per string per MPPT, and we have 2 strings, therefore, which makes it 21 amperes per string. And you can see just here, therefore, you can be able to use the 182 and the 210 full series of PV modules. A quick example looking at the 182 modules, taking an example of the JA 500 watts. You can see in case you have taken the first row, the 550 watt panel, then the number of modules will be 200 and your input capacity is 110. Therefore, you oversized by 1.1 in case you're using the 100 kilowatt inverter. Therefore, after you've done the calculation and sizing, you will see that you are able to do a total of 13 strings, with 8 being 15 panels and 5 being 16 panels. Another quick example of the 600 watt panel, which is on the 210 series. Taking an example of the Ryzen 600 watts. The number of modules that you will be able to use is 180 with an input capacity of 108 kilowatt. Then you have your inverter as 100 kilowatt. Therefore, your oversizing is 1.08. With that, you'll be able to do 20 panels with 9 strings. In case you oversize, perhaps just looking at the last row, you have the 600 watt panel, number of modules as 260, with your input capacity as 156, and your inverter as 125. Therefore, your oversizing is at 1.248%, 1.248. With that, you are able to do 13 strings or 20 panels. In terms of generation, this is what we are able to offer. We have a leading cooling technology, especially on the fans. This is able to dissipate the heat quickly. As we know, electronics do not require very efficient cooling, and this is able to do that very efficiently. Also, looking at the operating temperatures, the inverter is able to operate at a temperature as low as 30 degrees Celsius and at temperatures as high as 45 degrees Celsius. Therefore, you have a wide temperature range to play around with. As you can see, as long as you are under 40 degrees Celsius, you're able to produce 110% of the inverter. For example, for the 100, you're able to get 110. And it only starts derating from the nominal value, which is the size of the inverter, above 45 degrees Celsius. Also, we offer great reliability in terms of, as you can see, we have 10 MPPTs. The advantage of this, of course, is that you are able to do different orientations without compromising on your production. Then the inverter is IP66. Therefore, it is dust-proof and waterproof, and it is able to withstand some harsh conditions. And you can be able to also do an outdoor protection. We do have an optional C5 protection level. Therefore, if you are installing in a sideline area, we are able to also offer such a solution. We also have the GT can also be integrated with the AFCI 3.0, which has a high AI algorithm and also a high accuracy to protect your inverter against any arc faults. As I mentioned before, we have SPDs both on the AC and the DC, either type 1 or type 2. For this, in case you have any preferential, you're able to pre-order from the factory, but we do have the standard SPDs on both sides to protect the equipment against any surges. And with this also, you're able to track if there's any fault using your SEMS application. Looking at low investment costs, the inverter is also able to take in large cable sizes, especially for installations where you would prefer using an aluminum cable, because compared to the copper cable, the aluminum cable will be slightly larger. So taking the GT 125 kilowatt as an example, it's able to support up to 300 millimeter squared cable. Also, you can be able to do the copper to aluminum switching terminal. An example of using the aluminum alloys instead of the copper alloys, you can see for the copper, you will use 95 millimeter squared. For the aluminum, it will be 120 millimeter squared. Next, we will just look at installation. So in terms of packaging, this is how it comes in the package. Therefore, we do advise that just check that the model and the serial number are correct. And also you can check the accessories uh, based on the instruction manual on the packing list. The inverter will come with a dongle so that you can be able to also uh, connect to your Wi-Fi and be able to do remote monitoring. Next is how to do the installation. You can either do it by hoisting or also by hand lifting. Furthermore, just looking at installation, of course, we do advise you put it away from any fire or explosives. Do not touch it when it's running because it's slightly hot. Then also, wherever you're putting it, do not drill it into any pipes or cables. Another thing to consider is the spacing so that you provide proper ventilation around the inverter. As you can see from the diagram there, it's approximately 600 millimeters around the inverter. Then it is IP65, but we also encourage that you can provide a slight shade so that you do not expose it directly to either rain or sunshine, so that it does not heat up very quickly or it does not have unnecessary water on it. In terms of how to install it, you can put it on an upright position or at least tilt it to not more than 15 degrees. We do have as I mentioned, we have the Wi-Fi dongle that is provided in the box with the inverter. Therefore, you can be able to do, in terms of communication, you can be able to do either the Wi-Fi, the 4G, or also the RS485 in case you're using the controllers, which we have as the EZ logger or the SEC1000. The SEC1000 and the EZ logger can be able to support up to 60 inverters with the 20 inverters per port. Therefore, you will be daisy chaining 20 inverters for one port and it has 3 COM ports. In terms of settings, we have our commissioning app called the SolarGo. As you can see, that's a screenshot of how it looks like. So in case you are doing your configuration, and it's very simple, especially for the on-grid inverters, because the most basic setting that you need for it to run is the safety option, in which for most of our countries, we'll be using the 50 hertz. And then you also choose the grid type, either the star or the delta. And with that, your inverter will be running. And also you can see on the middle screenshot is that you'll be able to even see what your PV is producing per string. Then in case you have multiple inverters, you can also be able to check it through the same system, or you can also be able to use it during configuration either with SEC or the EZ-Logger Pro. And for the same is also just similar to the single inverter. You can also do the same with a multi-inverter settings on the SolarGo. The types of settings that you can also be able to do is on active power. Mostly we recommend you can do active power of 100% so that you can be able to maximize on your production. And also in case for most of our countries, you can also put on the anti-reverse setting so that you are not exporting to the grid. In case you're putting a controller, you can also do the RS485 setting. It supports the GoodWe and also the open source SunSpec protocol. Therefore, what we'll also just be doing here is setting the Modbus address of each inverter so that they're able to be seen as different. In terms of firmware upgrade, you're able to do it either on SolarGo or also remotely. We can be able to assist the service team. Using the SolarGo app, the service team will be able to send you the application. Then you save it on your phone. Then you just go to consider red rectangle. Then choose the firmware from your phone and you're able to upgrade. Therefore, it's very easy. You can see in terms of installation, in terms of commissioning, and also in terms of the firmware upgrade. Next, I'd like to welcome my colleague Patrick, who will take us through this various solutions that you can be able to implement using the GT.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Osiem. I'm the technical pre-sales engineer for the Eastern African region. So right after Elvis introducing the GT series, which is the latest high quality top producing on-grid inverter, I'd like to introduce you to the various solutions that you can achieve once you select these products for your C&I solutions. So some of the solutions that you can be able to achieve with the GT series include the export power limitation, load monitoring, consumption of the power from the grid, that is, PID recovery, this for the modules, ACFO circuit interrupter, 3.0 versions, rapid shutdown 2.0 version, as well as integration with the third-party solutions. So let me take you through export power limiting solution that you can install, how you can install it, and how you can achieve this solution. So the first solution is in case you're not of the option of in the SEC 1000 controller and the EasyLogger 3000C controller. So in this case, you'll be installing the GT series inverter along with the GM 330 smart meter or GM 3000C smart meters. So this for the three-phase solutions. The CTs that are connecting to the GM smart meters, GoodWe smart meters, are actually third-party CTs. So third-party CTs of secondary CT rating of 5 ohms. The primary can be between 200 to 5,000 ohms. So with the CTs on each phase, you'll be able to monitor the grid consumption as well as the generation from the inverters. Now, the next solution is when you want to include a number of inverters, GT series inverters, along with the EasyLogger 3000C. And the EasyLogger 3000C will be communicating or getting reference from the GM 330 smart meter to know your load consumptions, as well as give the system a target generation. So similarly, we employ the same scenario with the GM 330 third-party CTs. The smart meter communicates the EasyLogger 3000C via the RS-85 cable. And if you utilize the EasyLogger 3000C, you'll be able to connect a number of inverters. That is particularly a number of GT series. Now, moving on to the SEC 1000 series, which is an IP65 outdoor solution control box. You can utilize the same. So the SEC 1000 series comes with a number of devices included in the control box. So you have a breaker just for the current limitation and protection. We have a circuit board. We have a GM 3000 smart meter, a CT board, and EasyLogger Pro controller. So with this combination, your inverters, your smart meter will be connecting to the EasyLogger Pro, whereas the third-party CTs will be connected to the CT module to facilitate you to limit the export power to the grid, as well as monitor the generation of the system, as well as monitoring the load. So in your SAMS portal, you'll be able to see the various graphs of the PV generation, how much load you have, and how much is left drawn from the grid. That is with the SEC 1000 control box. Now, if you look into the load monitoring solutions, we deploy the same control box. Now with the SEC 1000, similarly, just installing with the same way as the export limit. in the same portal, you'll be able to monitor the load consumption from the grid. That is the Easy Logger Pro, which is in the SEC 1000, getting a reference from the GM 3000 smart meter. That's also in the SEC 1000 control box. And with reference to the PV generation, you'll be able to know how much you're consuming from the grid. Now, moving on to the PID recovery solutions, this affecting the PV modules. Well, most of the time when the PV panels are installed in very humid conditions, then there's high chances of electrons escaping to the frames of the PV panels. Now, in this sense, over time, the PV panel generation capacity reduces over time, and then this negatively impacts your generation capacity. And as well, your performance ratio will be reducing. Now with the GT series, the PID recovery is an option. And once this is integrated with the inverter, then during the night, the inverter will be able to charge the negative part of the key strings with around 800 volts to restore the electrons that had escaped from the PV panels. And as a result, come the next day, the PV panel will at least be restored to the initial generating capacity. So that's how the PID recovery solution is very impactful to the C&I solutions. Once you install the GT series in either hot, humid, or very mostly the humid areas, then yeah, you'll be restoring your PV panel generation capacity. Now with the AFCI, the Arc Fault Circuit Interrupter version 3.0 solution, well, in case you'd like to monitor any, let me say, arcs on your PV strings, well, the arcs on the PV strings might be due to leakages of lightning surges to the PV modules, or even loose connections on the MC4 connectors. Now, with the AFCI integrated, which is AI, it's able to learn the arcs curves of the various surges on your strings and able to detect how fast it's going to respond. Now, the algorithm we've included in our GT series is quite very fast responding. As you can see with the GoodWe, our FCI trip time is less than 500 milliseconds, contrary to the UL standard, which approves of the response trip time of up to 2.5 seconds. The Aqua, the Trican Sense is up to 300 joules, which is faster in responding with the arcs, contrary to the 750 joules for the standards. And the detection distance is up to 200 meters. So even with long strings, still the arcs can be detected by the GT series inverters. 200 meters, quite longer than the standard, the UL standards, which is allows up to 80 meters. So our FCI is actually quite robust in detecting the arc surges on our DC PV strings. Now with the rapid shutdown 2.0, the inverters is able to incorporate the rapid shutdown devices on your PV strings. And in this sense, it's quite important in case of fire outbreaks on the roof with respect, or even within the company with respect to the PV strings. Now with the rapid shutdown devices, the inverters are able to stop generation and disconnect the power from the particular affected PV strings. And in this sense, you can also get your alerts on your inverter just to inform you of the happening hazard. So it is easy to install and actually highly reliable for highly sensitive systems. Now, integration with third-party solutions is quite becoming a hot topic currently. And with the use of GT series, we have a number of ways we can integrate with third-party solutions. Now, the GT series, well, as you know, we are capable of uploading or connecting to our SAMS portal by either using the inverter's communication module or the controller, SEC 1000 or EasyLogger 3000C, uploading data to the GoodWe server, and the GoodWe server uploads data to the SAMS portal. Now, in case you have a third-party monitoring portal that you would prefer to display your data, your PV installation data, the GoodWe server is capable of integrating with the third-party server using the API protocol. The mostly used protocol is the Open API. Now, the same server will be able to push data of the generation or of the plant to the third-party server. And in respect, you'll be able to see the plant generation through the third-party monitoring portal. Now, this is a feature which is actually becoming a hot topic, just to integrate with the various upcoming monitoring portals within the market. Now, similarly, the GM3000, the GT series is capable, well, when integrated with the EasyLogger 3000C, you can integrate third-party weather stations and monitor the performance ratio of your plant. Now, depending, as long as the third-party weather station communicates with the Modbus RTU or uses the Modbus RTU protocol, the compatibility can be established. And in this sense, you're able to monitor the irradiance, temperature, wind direction, wind speed, all the particulars, specification that your weather station is able to display. Now, this is a major topic in terms of performance ratio monitoring of the PV plants. Now, in case there are plans that you would like to use third-party, let me say, smart meters, the EasyLogger 3000C can be integrated with such kind of system. Now, in cooperation with the GT series, with the various ports, you can see you can do a maximum of 20 inputs, 20 GT series on each COM port of the EasyLogger 3000C. And on the COM port, you can connect the third-party smart meter. We do have a compatibility list which you can unveil on demand. And yes, through this, you can achieve the various functions. For example, the export limit, the load monitoring and such of your PV system. So not only the GM330 and the GM1000C are compatible in these PV solutions, but yes, we do have a list of third-party smart meters that are compatible with the EasyLogger 3000C. Now, for plants which have SCADA systems, the EasyLogger 3000C and the SEC 1000, which integrated with the GT series, which is a high power generating plant, we can use the IEC 104 protocol to push data to third-party SCADA systems. And in this sense, you'll be able to monitor your systems using the SCADA, the locally available or the remotely available SCADA systems. So this is for very huge plants, the IPPs and such. Now, with the implementation or the release of the GT series, as well as the respective controllers, the EasyLogger 3000C, we've managed to garner a number of case references just to show you how applicable or how large the GT series can be installed in terms of functionality and reliability. So we do have a 1.2 megawatt in China that's actually running and in good condition. You can see the inverters outdoor, on the rooftop and outdoor, with just a bit of shadow canopy to give the inverters a bit of shade, preventing any direct interaction with sunlight or even with snow, that sense. We also have a 1 megawatt installation in Suzhou, China. You can see it's an incorporation of the GT series and the SMT series. See the famous red inverters on the side. The inverters are outdoor mounted as well, and it's a rooftop installation, quite robust. Similarly, we do have a 300 kilowatt system. You can see all these installations are outdoor. So the GT series is quite validated with the IP66 to be installed in outdoor scenarios. And just to ramp up the protection level of the GT series, it's optional to put the shell of the inverter with the C5 protection level. We do have a 2.2 megawatt rooftop installation. You can see, similarly, the inverter is still outdoor with robust number of strings, huge strings, big solar capacity, up to megawatts. So the GT series is quite robust in terms of size, in terms of generation. So that quite marks the end of the presentation. We are very much hopeful and we are very much happy to introduce the GT series as well as the EasyLogger 3000C products available locally. Have a good day.